Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about a very powerful English learning topic: the power of reading every day. Many English learners want to speak better English. They want more vocabulary. They want better grammar. They want confidence. They want fluency. But many learners ignore one of the simplest and strongest habits for improving English. That habit is reading every day. Reading may look simple. Reading may look slow. Reading may not feel exciting at first. But reading is one of the best ways to fill your mind with real English. Every page you read gives your brain new words. Every sentence shows you how English works. Every paragraph teaches you grammar, structure, ideas, and expressions. You do not only learn English by memorizing rules. You also learn English by seeing English again and again. That is the real power of reading. When you read every day, English becomes familiar. Words become easier. Sentences become clearer. Ideas become stronger. And slowly, your speaking also begins to improve. In this video, we will discover how daily reading can improve your English, grow your knowledge, and make you a more confident learner. So listen carefully, learn deeply, and try to think in English while listening. Part 1. Reading builds your vocabulary naturally. One of the biggest problems English learners face is vocabulary. They want to speak English, but they do not have enough words. They want to express their ideas, but the right words do not come. They understand something in their mind, but when they try to say it in English, they feel stuck. This happens to many learners, and because of this, they start memorizing long word lists. They learn 10 words today, 20 words tomorrow, 50 words next week. But after some time, they forget most of them. Why? Because the words were not connected to real meaning. They were just words on a page. Reading solves this problem in a natural way. When you read, you do not learn words alone. You learn words inside sentences. You learn words inside stories. You learn words inside real situations. This makes vocabulary much easier to understand and remember. For example, imagine you learn the word journey. If you only memorize the meaning, you may forget it quickly. But if you read a sentence like, "Her journey to success was difficult, but she never gave up." Now the word has a feeling. It has a situation. It has meaning. You understand how the word is used. This is much more powerful than memorizing the word alone. Reading gives vocabulary life. It shows you how words behave in real English. It shows you which words go together. It shows you how words are used naturally. This is very important because English is not only about knowing words. It is about knowing how to use them. Think about the word make. You may know this word, but through reading, you see many useful combinations. Make a decision. Make progress. Make a mistake. Make a plan. Make someone happy. Now your vocabulary becomes stronger. You are not learning one word. You are learning useful English patterns. These patterns help you speak more naturally. Another powerful thing about reading is repetition. When you read regularly, useful words appear again and again. The first time you see a word, it may feel new. The second time, it becomes a little familiar. The third time, you understand it better. After seeing it many times, the word becomes part of your memory. This is how vocabulary grows naturally. You do not force your brain to remember. You give your brain repeated exposure. And repeated exposure creates learning. Think about how you learned words in your first language. You did not memorize every word from a list. You heard words many times. You saw words many times. You understood them through real situations. English can grow the same way. Reading every day gives your brain the repetition it needs. Even if you read only 10 minutes a day, you are still feeding your brain English. 10 minutes today, 10 minutes tomorrow, 10 minutes the next day. After 1 month, your brain has seen hundreds or thousands of English sentences. After 1 year, the effect can be huge. Many learners think they need difficult books to improve. That is not true. In fact, very difficult books can sometimes slow you down. If every sentence has too many unknown words, reading becomes stressful. You stop enjoying it, you stop understanding, and soon you quit. The best reading material is something you can mostly understand. It should be easy enough to enjoy, but it should also have a few new words to help you grow. This is the perfect balance: simple stories, easy articles, short English lessons, beginner books, motivational paragraphs, daily conversations. All of these can help. Do not feel ashamed to read Easy English. Easy English builds confidence. Easy English builds understanding. Easy English helps you stay consistent. And consistency is more important than difficulty. Another useful habit is keeping a small vocabulary notebook. When you read and find a useful word, write it down. But do not write only the word. Write the full sentence. For example, word, improve. Sentence. Reading every day can improve your English. This helps you remember the word in context. Later, you can create your own sentence. Daily practice improves my confidence. Now the word becomes active. You are not just recognizing it, you are using it. That is the goal. A word becomes truly powerful when you can use it in your own speaking and writing. Reading also teaches you which words are common. Some learners waste time learning very rare and difficult words. But reading shows you the words people actually use often. Common words appear again and again. Useful phrases appear again and again. And because you see them many times, they become part of your natural English. This helps speaking too. When you have more vocabulary, you feel less stuck. You can explain your thoughts better. You can describe your feelings better. You can share ideas more clearly. You can speak with more confidence. That is why reading is not only a reading skill. Reading supports speaking. Reading supports writing. Reading supports listening. Reading supports thinking in English. Everything is connected. If you want to build vocabulary naturally, read every day. Read simple content. Read interesting content. Read content that matches your level. Do not rush. Do not worry about understanding every word. Focus on the main meaning. Learn a few useful words. Review them. Use them. And repeat the process daily. Vocabulary does not grow only by memorizing words. Vocabulary grows when you meet words again and again in real sentences. So read every day. Let English enter your mind naturally. Let words become familiar. Let sentences become easier. And little by little, your vocabulary will become stronger, richer, and more useful for real communication. Part 2. Reading improves your grammar without memorizing rules. When many people think about grammar, they immediately think about rules. They think about tenses. They think about formulas. They think about complicated explanations. And because of this, grammar often feels difficult and boring. Many learners spend hours studying grammar rules. They memorize structures. They complete exercises. But when it is time to speak, they still make mistakes. Why? Because knowing a rule and using a rule are two different things. Reading helps solve this problem. When you read regularly, your brain starts noticing grammar naturally. You see correct English again and again. You see how sentences are built. You see how words work together. You see grammar in action. Think about a child learning their first language. Children do not learn grammar from textbooks. They hear language every day. They see language every day. Slowly, their brain recognizes patterns. English learners can use the same process. Imagine reading hundreds of sentences like, I went to school yesterday. She watched a movie last night. They visited their grandparents. After seeing these examples many times, your brain starts recognizing the pattern of the past tense. You may not even think about the rule. You simply know that it sounds correct. This is one of the greatest benefits of reading. It trains your grammatical instincts. Instead of constantly asking, which grammar rule should I use? You begin feeling what sounds natural. This is how many fluent speakers communicate. They have seen correct English so many times that proper grammar feels familiar. Reading also helps you understand sentence structure. You learn how ideas are organized. You learn how paragraphs flow. You learn how English speakers connect thoughts. This makes your own speaking and writing stronger. Another advantage is that reading reduces grammar anxiety. Many learners are afraid of grammar. They think they must master every rule before they can communicate. That is not true. Communication comes first. Improvement comes through exposure and practice. Reading provides that exposure every day. The more you read, the more familiar grammar becomes. And the more familiar grammar becomes, the easier English feels. You do not learn grammar only by studying rules. You learn grammar by seeing correct English repeatedly. And reading gives you that opportunity every single day. Part 3. Reading helps you think in English. One of the biggest challenges for English learners is translation. Many learners think in their native language first. Then they translate into English. This process is slow. It creates hesitation. It often makes speaking difficult. Imagine wanting to say something simple. Before speaking, you create the sentence in your native language. Then you search for English words. Then you arrange those words. Then you finally speak. This takes time and energy. Reading can help break this habit. Why? Because reading exposes your brain directly to English. The more English you read, the more familiar English becomes. Instead of constantly translating, your brain starts understanding English directly. This is a huge step toward fluency. Imagine reading a simple sentence. The weather is beautiful today. At first you may translate it. But after seeing similar sentences many times, you understand the meaning immediately. No translation is needed. Your brain begins connecting English words directly to ideas. This is exactly what fluent speakers do. They do not translate every sentence. They understand English naturally. Reading helps build this ability. Another benefit is that reading fills your mind with English patterns. These patterns become available when you speak. When you need to express an idea, your brain remembers sentences and structures it has seen before. This makes communication smoother. Think about how often you read phrases such as, I would like to, in my opinion. The reason is, as a result, after seeing these patterns repeatedly, they become familiar. Later, you begin using them naturally in conversations. This is one reason readers often become stronger speakers. Their minds are full of useful language. Reading also creates an English environment inside your brain. Even if nobody around you speaks English, reading allows you to spend time with the language every day. You are constantly exposing yourself to English thoughts, English ideas, and English expressions. Over time, English starts feeling less like a foreign language and more like a natural way of communicating. Another powerful effect is confidence. Many learners feel nervous because English feels unfamiliar. Reading changes this. The more familiar English becomes, the less intimidating it feels. Words become easier to recognize. Sentences become easier to understand. Ideas become easier to express. Confidence grows naturally. Think about learning to drive. At first, everything feels unfamiliar. The controls feel confusing. The experience feels stressful. But after enough practice, driving becomes natural. Reading creates the same kind of familiarity with English. The more exposure you have, the more comfortable you become. And comfort is one of the foundations of fluency. Fluent speakers do not spend all their time translating. They think directly in English. And one of the best ways to train your brain to think in English is to read English every day. The more you read, the more natural English becomes. The more natural English becomes, the more confidently you can communicate. Part 4. Reading makes speaking easier. Many English learners have the same problem. They understand some English, they know some vocabulary, they study grammar. But when it is time to speak, they suddenly feel stuck. Their mind becomes blank. Words disappear. Confidence disappears. And speaking feels difficult. One reason this happens is because they are not getting enough English input. Speaking is an output skill. Before you can produce good English, your brain needs to receive a lot of English. Reading is one of the best ways to provide that input. Every time you read, you fill your mind with English words, English sentences, and English expressions. Think about a water tank. If no water enters the tank, eventually it becomes empty. The same thing happens with language. If you never feed your brain English, speaking becomes difficult. Reading fills your language tank. The more quality English you read, the more language your brain has available when you speak. Imagine reading stories every day. You repeatedly see useful expressions. You repeatedly see natural sentence structures. You repeatedly see common vocabulary. After a while, these patterns become familiar. Then something amazing happens. You begin using them when you speak. Not because you memorize them, but because your brain has seen them many times. This is how natural speaking develops. Many learners believe speaking improves only through speaking practice. Speaking practice is important, but reading supports speaking in powerful ways. Reading gives you ideas. Reading gives you vocabulary. Reading gives you sentence structures. Reading gives you confidence. The more you read, the easier it becomes to express yourself. Think about a person who reads every day for 1 year. They have seen thousands of English sentences, thousands of useful phrases, thousands of examples of natural communication. When they speak, their brain has a large library of English to use. Now imagine someone who rarely reads. Their English exposure is much smaller. Their language library is much smaller. As a result, speaking often feels harder. Another important benefit is that reading improves sentence flow. Many learners speak in short, disconnected sentences. Reading teaches you how ideas connect naturally. You learn how to explain. You learn how to describe. You learn how to tell stories. You learn how to share opinions. All of these skills help you become a better speaker. This is why many strong speakers are also strong readers. They have spent years filling their minds with quality language. And that language eventually appears in their speech. So if you want to become a confident English speaker, do not focus only on speaking. Read every day as well. Because every page you read is preparing your brain for future conversations. Great speaking begins with great input. And reading is one of the most powerful forms of input you can give your brain. Part 5. Reading increases your confidence. Confidence is one of the most important parts of learning English. Many learners know more English than they think. But they lack confidence. They doubt themselves. They fear mistakes. They worry about what other people will think. As a result, they stay quiet. They avoid conversations. They avoid opportunities to practice. Reading can help change this, not overnight, but gradually and powerfully. Every time you read, you understand a little more English. Every time you finish a page, you prove to yourself that you are learning. Every time you understand a paragraph, your confidence grows. These small victories matter. Many people wait until they are fluent before they feel confident. But confidence often comes before fluency. Confidence grows through repeated success. And reading provides many opportunities for success. Imagine a beginner reading a simple English story. At first, they understand only part of it. A few weeks later, they understand more. A few months later, they understand almost everything. This progress creates confidence. The learner begins thinking, "I can do this. I am improving. My English is getting better." These thoughts are powerful because belief influences action, and action influences results. Another reason reading increases confidence is familiarity. People are often afraid of things that feel unfamiliar. When English feels unfamiliar, it feels intimidating. But the more you read, the more familiar English becomes. Words become familiar. Sentences become familiar. Grammar becomes familiar. Ideas become familiar. And when something becomes familiar, fear begins to disappear. Think about entering a new city for the first time. Everything feels unfamiliar. You may feel uncertain. But after spending time there, you learn the streets. You recognize places. You become comfortable. English works the same way. Reading helps you become familiar with the language. And familiarity creates confidence. Reading also teaches you that mistakes are part of learning. You will not understand every word. You will not understand every sentence. And that is okay. Strong readers continue anyway. They focus on understanding the main idea. They focus on learning gradually. This mindset is valuable because it reduces perfectionism. Many learners think they must understand everything. That belief creates pressure. Reading teaches patience. It teaches progress. It teaches persistence. The learner realizes, I do not need to be perfect. I only need to keep improving. This is a powerful lesson because confidence is not believing you know everything. Confidence is believing you can keep learning. Every book you finish strengthens that belief. Every article you read strengthens that belief. Every page you understand strengthens that belief. Over time, confidence becomes one of the greatest rewards of daily reading. And confident learners usually learn faster. They speak more. They practice more. They take more opportunities. And those actions lead to even greater improvement. Confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you build. And reading every day is one of the simplest and most powerful ways to build it. Part 6. Reading expands your knowledge and ideas. Most people think reading is only about learning English. But reading gives you something much bigger than language. It gives you knowledge. It gives you ideas. It gives you new ways of thinking. Every book, article, story, or lesson contains information that can help you grow. Think about this for a moment. You can learn from people who lived hundreds of years ago. You can learn from successful business owners. You can learn from scientists. You can learn from teachers. You can learn from travelers. You can learn from people who've experienced completely different lives. All of this becomes possible through reading. When you read, you are not only improving your English, you are expanding your mind. Imagine two people. One person reads regularly. The other person rarely reads. After several years, the difference becomes obvious. The reader has been exposed to thousands of ideas, thousands of lessons, thousands of perspectives. The non-reader has missed many of those opportunities. Knowledge has power. Not because knowledge alone changes your life, but because knowledge helps you make better decisions. The more you understand the world, the better your choices often become. Reading also improves your ability to think critically. You begin asking better questions. You begin understanding different viewpoints. You begin analyzing ideas instead of simply accepting them. This is an important skill in every area of life. Many successful people are lifelong readers. Why? Because they understand that learning never stops. There is always something new to discover. There is always something new to understand. There is always room for growth. Think about English conversations. When you have more knowledge, conversations become easier. You have more topics to discuss. You have more ideas to share. You can talk about books. You can talk about history. You can talk about science. You can talk about motivation. You can talk about life experiences. Reading gives you content for your conversations. This is one reason readers often become better communicators. They have more ideas available in their minds. Another powerful benefit is inspiration. Sometimes a single paragraph can change your mindset. Sometimes a single story can motivate you. Sometimes a single idea can help you see your life differently. You never know which page may contain a lesson that changes your future. That is why every reading session matters. Even when the progress seems small, even when the lesson seems simple, growth is happening. Knowledge is accumulating. Your understanding is expanding. Little by little, reading helps you become a wiser person. Not only a better English learner, but a better thinker, a better communicator, and a better learner. Books do not only give you information, they give you new ways to see the world. And a new way of seeing the world can change your life. Part 7. Create a daily reading habit. Many learners know that reading is useful. The problem is not knowledge. The problem is consistency. They read for one day. Then they stop. They read for a week. Then they become busy. They read only when they feel motivated. As a result, progress becomes slow. This is why creating a daily reading habit is so important. The secret is not reading for hours. The secret is reading consistently. Many people think they need a lot of time. That is not true. Even 10 minutes a day can create powerful results. Think about 10 minutes. Most people spend more than that scrolling on their phones. Most people spend more than that watching random videos. If you can find 10 minutes for those activities, you can find 10 minutes for reading. The key is making reading part of your routine. Maybe you read after breakfast. Maybe you read before bed. Maybe you read during a break. The specific time is not important. Consistency is important. When reading becomes a habit, you no longer need motivation. You simply do it. Just like brushing your teeth. Just like eating meals. It becomes part of your daily life. Another important rule is starting small. Many learners become too ambitious. They decide to read for an hour every day. After a few days, they become tired. Then they quit. A better approach is starting with a small goal. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a few pages, something easy, something realistic. Success creates momentum, and momentum creates habits. Another helpful strategy is reading things you genuinely enjoy. Do not force yourself to read content that feels boring. If you enjoy stories, read stories. If you enjoy motivation, read motivational content. If you enjoy history, read history. If you enjoy self-improvement, read self-improvement books. Interest makes consistency easier. The more enjoyable reading feels, the more likely you are to continue. Remember that daily reading is not a race. You do not need to finish books quickly. You do not need to understand every word. You simply need to keep showing up. Page by page, day by day, week by week. Those small efforts add up. 1 page becomes 10 pages. 10 pages become 100 pages. 100 pages become thousands of pages. And thousands of pages create remarkable improvement. The learner who reads a little every day often achieves more than the learner who reads a lot once in a while. Consistency wins. Always. You do not need to read a lot. You simply need to read regularly. Because small daily habits create extraordinary long-term results. Part 8. Small reading habits create big results. One of the biggest mistakes English learners make is underestimating small actions. People often believe that only big efforts create big results. They think they need to study for hours every day. They think they need to read entire books every week. They think they need a perfect study plan. Because of this, they sometimes feel overwhelmed before they even begin. The truth is much simpler. Small habits, repeated consistently, can create extraordinary results. Think about a drop of water. One drop seems insignificant. It looks too small to matter. But if water continues falling on the same place for years, it can change stone. Small actions become powerful when they are repeated. Reading works exactly the same way. Imagine reading only 5 pages a day. 5 pages may not sound impressive. Many people would ignore such a small habit. But let's think long-term. 5 pages every day becomes 35 pages a week. That becomes more than 150 pages a month. That becomes thousands of pages in a year. Now imagine how many new words, ideas, expressions, and sentence patterns you would encounter. The results become enormous. This is why successful learners focus on consistency rather than intensity. Intensity comes and goes. Some days you feel motivated. Some days you do not. But habits continue. Habits do not depend on motivation. Habits depend on routine. Many people wait for the perfect moment to start. They wait until they have more time. They wait until they feel more motivated. They wait until conditions become perfect. But perfect conditions rarely arrive. Successful learners start with what they have. They read 1 page, then another, then another. Over time, these small efforts create powerful changes. Think about a person who reads 10 minutes every day for 5 years. The improvement would be incredible. Not because they did something dramatic, but because they did something simple repeatedly. This is how most success works. A strong body is built through repeated exercise. Financial success is often built through repeated smart decisions. English fluency is built through repeated exposure and practice. The principle is always the same. Small actions, repeated consistently, creating big results. Another reason small habits are powerful is that they reduce resistance. When a task feels too large, people often avoid it. But almost anyone can read for 5 minutes. Almost anyone can read 1 page. Small goals are easier to start. And starting is often the hardest part. Once you start reading, you may continue longer. But even if you do not, the habit is still growing. Every page matters. Every paragraph matters. Every minute matters. Never underestimate the power of small progress. Small progress is still progress. And progress, no matter how small, moves you forward. You do not need giant actions to change your life. You need small actions repeated every day. That is how great readers are built. That is how strong English skills are built. And that is how lasting success is built. Part 9. Reading can change your life. Most people begin reading because they want to improve a skill. Maybe they want better English. Maybe they want more knowledge. Maybe they want better communication. These are excellent reasons. But over time, many readers discover something surprising. Reading changes much more than language. It changes the way you think. It changes the way you see the world. It changes the way you understand yourself. Every book contains experiences, lessons, mistakes, successes, wisdom. You may never meet the author. You may never visit the places described. You may never live the exact experiences. Yet through reading, you can learn from all of them. This is a remarkable gift. Think about how many mistakes you can avoid by learning from others. Think about how many years of wisdom you can gain through books. Think about how many new ideas can enter your mind. Reading expands your possibilities. A person who never reads is often limited to their own experiences. A reader gains access to thousands of experiences. That is why reading is so powerful. It allows you to borrow knowledge from people across different countries, cultures, and generations. Another life-changing benefit is perspective. When challenges appear, readers often have more ways of understanding them. They have seen stories of people overcoming difficulties. They have learned lessons about resilience. They have discovered ideas about growth. These lessons can provide strength during difficult times. Books can become teachers. Books can become mentors. Books can become companions. Many people have found hope through reading. Many people have found motivation through reading. Many people have found direction through reading. And perhaps most importantly, reading helps you continue growing throughout your life. Some people stop learning after school. Readers never stop learning. Every new book becomes a new opportunity. Every new page becomes a new lesson. Every new idea becomes a chance to grow. This mindset creates lifelong improvement. Imagine where you could be 1 year from now if you read every day. Imagine how many words you could learn. Imagine how much your English could improve. Imagine how much knowledge you could gain. Imagine how much confidence you could build. Now imagine 5 years. The difference could be extraordinary. The future version of yourself will thank you for the reading habits you build today. Because reading is not just an activity, it is an investment. An investment in your English. An investment in your knowledge. An investment in your confidence. And ultimately, an investment in your future. A reader today can become a stronger, wiser, and more confident person tomorrow. One page may not change your life, but the habit of reading every day certainly can. Today we discovered the incredible power of reading every day. We learned that reading builds vocabulary naturally. We learned that reading improves grammar without endless memorization. We learned that reading helps you think in English. We learned that reading makes speaking easier. We learned that reading increases confidence. We learned that reading expands knowledge and ideas. We learned how to build a daily reading habit. And finally, we learned how small reading habits can create life-changing results. Remember, you do not need to read for hours. You do not need difficult books. You do not need perfect understanding. You simply need to start. 1 page, 1 paragraph, 1 habit, then repeat it every day. Because every page you read is helping you become a better English learner. Every page is strengthening your vocabulary. Every page is improving your understanding. Every page is bringing you closer to fluency. So make reading a daily part of your life. Keep learning. Keep growing. And keep turning pages. Because every page you read today is helping create a better version of yourself tomorrow. If you enjoy this lesson, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more English learning content. Keep reading, keep improving, and I'll see you in the next lesson.